Fellow droners, Freddy123 coming at you again today with another video about drones. Today's video is going to be somewhat different. I've got a track to run on, so I wrote down some notes so I'm not rambling all over the place. So bear with me if for whatever reason you feel I do ramble, but as good as I think I might be, I still want to make some notes, make myself some notes so I can stay on focus of what I want to present for you today. So let's give it a shot and get right into it. Today we're going to be talking about the FAA Part 710 how to pass it, in particularly for those who are taking it in 2022 and beyond. I took my test here recently, and I finally got my passing score, got my certificate the other day, so I want to share information with you. So thank you again for watching the video. There's a ton of good information that you're going to see on YouTube and when you Google, and all of it is great information. But the only problem is you got to find what works for you. And so whether it's a video and reading, some will try to say how easy the test is. Maybe for them it is. I don't know. I've taken a lot of tests in my day. The test simply is no joke. So you do need to prepare and you need to study because otherwise you'll wind up what happened to me that first time, and I went down swinging. So again, I'm a newbie, picked up my drone about in June of 2021, had no idea how to fly the darn thing. I didn't even know you needed a FAA certificate, I didn't know what that was. But once I found out, I said, whoa, I'm going to have to buckle down and get another certificate. So again, I knew I needed it because I'm a photographer, and my plan was to incorporate, the aerial photography or drone footage into the business because, whether it be real estate, whether it be building or contractors, or have you not, there's a service out there that drone pilots can provide. So I wanted to be into that lineup, and the only way you can do it is you got to have your FAA Part 107 certificate. So once I realized that a certificate was needed, I kind of buckled down and mapped out a strategy. Again, I got a drone in June. It took me a little while to learn how to use it. But once that took place, then we roll into the holiday season, and right at around first part of December, I finally buckled down and said, I need to nail this. I need to nail this test. So I set my goal to have my certificate completed in hand by the end of December. Well, thought I was ready. I found an online course. It was very good, by the way. They were running a holiday special, which fit my budget because I didn't have I didn't want to invest the money that some of the courses had because I said, wait a minute, the test is the test. But at the same time, I didn't want to underestimate the test because you need to have some reference point of what to expect. Otherwise, you're going in there cold turkey, and this is not the kind of thing you want to gamble with because it costs you money to take the test, $175. So I bought my subscription. The only problem was because I got a holiday special, there was no test guarantee. So in other words, if you take the test and don't pass, a lot of these exam sites will say, well, you don't have to worry about paying the $175, or they'll give you a refund, whatever. That was not my case. But even with that, I figured I'm willing to take a shot because I just want to see what the material looks like, because I had no idea how the questions would be laid out, kind of the process, the feel, and that's why I didn't mind investing the site that I did. So I paid my money, and my goal was simply to get in there and get as much information as I could. And I gave myself about maybe 20 hours or so, maybe more. And that leads me to the next point. I want to congratulate all those on YouTube and other sources that provide videos because they're great information. You cannot underestimate what these people have put out. Very professional. The only hiccup to that is my concern was, well, how current is that information? I mean, how do we know that the test questions are stagnant? Because FAA probably mixes the questions up, which they do. So you could be watching a hell of a video only to find out that video is outdated. So then what do you do? So I needed something kind of, okay, I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket and focus on that because I'd be watching videos till I'm blind. But those are some critical pitfalls you got to be aware of. So test taking, I consider myself above average. I've done a lot of tests, a lot of standardized tests. But when I took that first test, I must tell you, I did not pass. I went down.
Kershaw trying to put him away. Clayton deals, fastball got him, 94 miles an hour, up around the shoulders. That's strikeout number.
And that during that first test, I never forget when I opened sit at the computer, they give you a little computer cubicle, and I opened that thing up, and man, you would have swore I was in Yugoslavia, Belgrade. I said, "What is this?" So, never seen these questions before. Once I got over that hurdle, I finally settled down, and again, I wound up getting
and the agony of defeat.
So I felt, okay, I didn't pass it, don't fret, you gotta suck it up. It is what it is. That was crucial. And so I wanted to find out how the process was, how the questions were laid out, and even though the materials and videos that you see on YouTube and other sources spell it all out, it's not until you actually take it, at least in my case, that you can really grasp what the heck is going on and how that material is supposed to go out. Because 60 questions seems very reasonable, but with that FAA, again, it's a highly regulated division or department, and the airspace is no joke. So you're dealing with a lot of information you got to absorb in a short period of time. And again, 60 questions. So why can't I get 40 of them right? Well, guess what? Sounds easier for some people than it really does for others. But in my case, again, I didn't pass. So right then and there, I committed myself to nail down some extra study time, and I threw another $175 in my budget to give it another shot. On the results, you do get a reference of the questions you had incorrect. The only problem with that, they give a general topic, not specific questions, so you can go to that source and find out. So you almost have to do it all over again. But, it is what it is. So for all those who passed the first time, I send a hearty congratulations. My goal today is to give you 4 tips which may help you achieve what I did, and that was a passing score. As stated, after striking out on my first time, I was more determined and adjusted my strategy. As soon as my 14-day window was completed, which is the time required should you fail, then you have to wait that period before you can schedule your next test. Well, in my case, I got lucky because I was able to get a test within 2 days. Now, at first, I had a little bit of apprehension. I was a little bit apprehensive because I said, am I ready to take it so soon? But then I figured, you know what, do not let procrastination set in. And so I said, let me just jump in. Either I know it or I don't. I gave myself enough time. As I say, that first time I put in about maybe 20 hours. This time I was more focused, put in probably the same, if not more time, and got the scheduling, and that was that. So tip number 1 is the sectional charts. Again, the first test, I just didn't put enough energy into that section as I should have. But the second time, I did. And I finally nailed those sectional charts. The reason those sectional charts are crucial is because, again, the first test, it was 21 questions. The second test, I think they were 20 or 21, whatever. They're about a third of the test. And so sectional charts is a topical item. They're not random questions like you would get of the other 39 to 40 questions. They're dealing with a specific topic. And so if you can nail those, you're going to do pretty good. Lo and behold, that second test, when I opened the exam, my strategy was to not try to answer each question, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I looked at all, there were sectional charts, and I set them aside and I tallied them up. And then I went through the whole 60 questions, and that's how I came up with there's 21 sectional questions. I'll nail those later. I went ahead and nailed the other questions, got those general questions out of the way. So when I did the sectional charts, I kind of took my time. You got more than enough time. 2 hours is a long time. You can easily knock those out. So don't feel like you're going to be short on time just because you do it this way. For me, it helped because I was able to kind of calm down. I had a very specific strategy. And so when I tallied up my sectional chart answers of the 2021, I got 16. So I was feeling pretty good. I said, I know I've got 16 at minimum. So then I only needed like maybe 26 of the general questions, and I'd be at a passing score. So that's tip number 1, sectional charts. And so once I achieved those sectional charts and I came back, tip number 2, do basic math. You gotta break those questions up. If there's 30% sectional charts, the other percent are going to be general questions. In my case, I knew what I needed, and so you just do the math. Either you have it or you don't. The bottom line is, when I'm taking a question, then I'm marking it on my scratch paper exactly what the topic is, but I'm also marking if I think I received a correct score or not. And when I tallied all mine up, lo and behold, I came up with 75%. I was feeling pretty good. So, tip number 3. Again, I applaud all those who create videos, but great material. Some of it, though, might be dated because the FAA Study book was released in 2016. Since then, the way they update the information is they provide what is called advisory circulars. That's a lot of updated information that you got to nail because it deals with the current regulations today. Especially, there's a couple of topics that I would encourage you to focus on, and that's flying over people, flying at night, as well as remote ID. You're going to get maybe 5 to 8 questions just on those 3 topics. So you want to pay attention to those advisory circulars and just kind of take your time and read it. Do what you have to do to make sure you've got it under your belt. A lot of it is trick stuff. You may think you've got a question, but the way they frame it might be enough to throw you off, and you could come in with the wrong answer and don't get it right. So, tip number 4. But pay attention to that red FAA supplement flying guide, and particularly the legend. The legend is good for maybe 3 to 5, 6, 7 answers on your test because the information is right there in the legend, and you may look at all this technical information. It's very technical, the sectional charts, but it's real easy once you understand it. And that was my hurdle, understanding what the material represented. And once I did, I was fine with it. I didn't have a problem. But you got some answers hidden into the book that they're going to either give you a hard copy or you're going to have it on your computer screen. One or the other. I had both. The first test, it was all on the computer screen, as well as the calculator. Everything was on the computer. The second test, I actually got a independent calculator, and then I also got the red supplement book. But either way, you're going to get that. So that booklet is good for 3 to 5, 6 answers easy right there. So that's tip number 4. And then finally, when I summarize this, I must have looked at over 500 questions, trying to figure out of these 500 or so, what 60 might be on the test. And that's kind of hard to gauge, but at least you're trying to get a feel in your best guesstimation as what you might expect. So it helps you to take as many practice tests as possible. And again, repetition, just keep over and over and over again. Pay attention to the trick stuff, and carefully just review, because FAA they want you to pass the test, but they're not going to make it easy to think it's in rote memory. You can just memorize something. I mean, you either know it or you don't. So one last thing is focus on material, again, that is relevant. So you got to pay attention to the FAA website. There they've got some sample questions. There's 42. Also the PSI site where you actually apply to take your test. There's 42 practice questions there. Those are critical because why? They deal with current information. More than likely, a good majority of those questions you'll see on the test. Okay, so you got 42 on the FAA website, and you also got 42 on the PSI website. And so if you can nail those or get a good handle of those, then you're in pretty good stead, because you'll be seeing that even though it's only 42, it's not 60. But it'll give you an idea of how the questions are formatted. So hopefully this information helps you. As mentioned, on the second try, I was obsessed. I wanted to nail 100 because I was so determined after striking out that first time. So when I turned my test in, I thought, okay, I got 75. I should be okay. I was kind of surprised when the guy handed me my sheet and it said 85. I said, whoa. So speaking of the sheet, if they only give you one sheet, guess what? You didn't pass, because that one sheet's only going to have your test score. If they give you 2 sheets, that's good news. You did pass. Why? Because you're going to have your score on one sheet, and then the second sheet is actually how to apply for your Airmen certificate. Yay! Once you get that, and I applied as soon as I got back to my home, I did my application for my Airmen certificate. It actually took 10 days from the time I applied to actually receive notification of my certificate, and I was monitoring the site on a regular basis. And lo and behold, one day I opened up my website on my FAA user website, and it had a little link for my certificate. I said, oh, good. Opened it up, and there it was, my Airman certificate, good for 120 days, because now they got to do all the background check and whatever they have to do with TSA. But then the next day, I also received an email from FAA, but, I was kind of a step ahead because I wanted to gauge, well, how long does it take to actually receive the certificate? But the good news is, now that I have the certificate, I don't have to worry about bootlegging. I can go out, I can charge my client. If I get a job, someone calls me, one needs solar inspection, real estate, whatever you might need, I'm your guy. So that's what I plan on doing because, again, I come from the real estate industry. So I'm going to take it easy. Now that I've got my test, I just want to share with those of you who might be taking the test that it's an easy test to nail, but there's some components you gotta master so that you feel confident of investing the money necessary to actually take and pass the test and receive your certificate. So hopefully this information helped you. Again, Freddy123 coming at you. See you in the sky. Keep doing what you do and let all drones rule. Over and out.